Welcome back to another episode of Tornado Talk. Ryan Wilkes, the voice of the Brevard College Tornadoes, with you tonight. Thank you all for tuning in this evening as we have another exciting episode to get to. But first, we're going to take a chance to thank our sponsors of today's episode. As we'll share those sponsors here on the screen in just a moment: BSN Sports, Comporium, Hampton by Hilton, Jets Pizza, UNC Health Party, Pepsi, Pinnacle Financial Partners, Platt, Suburban Propane, Subway, and Zaxby's. So I want to take a quick reminder to thank the sponsor of BC Athletics as we go throughout this 2025 athletic calendar. And also want to remind you about the Athletic Week of Giving. You have 2 more days ending on Wednesday, September 17th, if you want to scan the QR code on your screen to donate to these athletic programs as we head throughout 2025. So we'll take a chance to recap the week and highlight some of the photos from our fantastic photographers who took pictures this week. Volleyball was in action. 2 games at home to open 2025. Tony Belcher was there taking pictures for us. Great shot right there as the Tornadoes fell in 2 tight matches with Bob Jones and with Johnson University. Joel Giel took another picture as well. Great shot there by our 2 fantastic photographers at volleyball this week. Women's soccer also in action. The Tornadoes stayed perfect, moved to 4-0. Alicia Gennaro was there taking pictures for us this week. A win over Piedmont and also over Averett on Saturday. The Futures football was in action for the first time. Karis King was down on the sideline for us taking pictures of the action against Greensboro. The Tornadoes fell slightly by a touchdown, 28-21. And lastly, the men's soccer team, a 1-1 victory, a 1-1 draw against Center. And Owen Cuervo snapped that perfect picture of the Tornadoes tying the game late in that contest. So that's a week recap for the Tornadoes. It was a busy week, a lot going on, and a busy week upcoming. We'll break some of that down on tonight's episode. So first guest we have today, a special guest, wide receiver on the football team, Alex Bolton. He started a great new project that we'll break down with him this evening. Alex, thanks for joining me tonight.
Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for taking some time tonight. And want to get a little insight on Inside the Tornado, a new project that you've kind of taken the helm of doing this season. You just recorded your first episode with Chiara Porcelli. Break that down for me. How'd that go, and what was that conversation like for you?
I've known Chiara now for 2 years, and after that interview, I feel like I've learned so much just about, not only her as an athlete, but as a person, which really was the whole emphasis of the new content that we're doing with the Inside the Tornado, because I think we focus a lot on people as athletes and how good they are on the field. But the whole emphasis, I think we also got to focus that there's a human, behind what they're doing out there on the field. They got to go and live a life once they get off there. The talents only take you so far. There's someone you have to be as well. And that's, I think, the whole emphasis of what we learned in that episode.
So break down to me where this idea came from. How did this kind of spawn? And what inspired you to talk to student athletes in this capacity?
Well, I guess you say it really begins with I've always had a love for content. I do content on YouTube by myself. Last year we did a practicum class with Phil DeMont Marlin, who, gave me some new stuff, doing things with sports. I had never really gotten into sports content before, but I thought, I really enjoyed this. This is fun. But, I've always, I can't just stay on surface level, never have been able to. I just always find a way to go deeper. And so I thought that, it'd be really interesting to get an opportunity to get to know people more than just the interview that you may do after a game and just, the tidbit that you get in the Tornado Talk, to be able to really sit down and get to know who these people are, because, it's important to know who's playing for, Brevard beyond just their number.
So I want to build on that a little bit. The structure of the show, you obviously still talk about the on-field stuff and the success these student athletes are having, but from your perspective, how important is it to be that outlet for people to talk about whatever they want to talk about, whether it be their family, their upbringing, that kind of stuff? How important is that for you to provide that outlet for student athletes?
Well, I'll say number one, the biggest thing I've realized is that when they come and they talk, they already feel comfortable. Not only because they see me around campus and I do know them, but being the same age, they just feel comfortable to be able to kind of get out those things about their personal life because maybe they can relate to me. And even if we don't have similarities there, it just gives them a space to feel like more than just a player. Because I feel like they come on, they're invited on a lot of these shows because, oh, you did great this week in playing this game. Well, it's great, regardless if you do great this weekend, you're still a great person regardless. So let's come and hear about who you are is kind of the entire point of what that's all about. And I think that it gives a great opportunity. And obviously, that episode with Chiara Porcelli, we learned a lot about her and who she is as a person. I think that it just adds on to how much of a great player she is because she's a great person.
So talking about the production, I listened in and watched that today. Very impressive production on your part. Talk about your background producing stuff like that. You talked about making content. Talk a little bit about how you got into that and how that's kind of coming to a head with the show.
Well, first and foremost, all glory to Jesus Christ, who is my Lord and Savior. I just want to say that, going into college, I began making content that was, informing people about faith. And so I've started a YouTube channel and TikTok where I began expressing my faith and making content. I ended up vlogging 365 days straight. Not years yet. If I ever get that old, that's a blessing. But 365 days straight. And it was one heck of a journey, learning a lot about myself, but also learning about the content, being a comm major that really helped being able to implement into my classroom where we do a lot of content-based stuff. Started a podcast last year with some friends for one of my communications classes. We stopped taking the class and we kept doing the podcast. So when it came down to that format that we ended up doing the other day, I really had a background already with podcasting and the production behind it when it comes down to the editing and chopping up. Already, knew how to do all that. So that came together. And have to give a shout out to George Rennie, who does work here on campus, used to be a teammate, and he's still a great friend of mine. But he was behind there, cutting in between the cameras. But little things like that you don't really think about that go into making a great production like that.
Let's talk a little bit. I'll flip the script here, like we're on Inside the Tornado. Tell the viewers a little bit. You already mentioned the content producing stuff, but tell the viewers a little bit about your life off the field and who you are as a person.
Man, if you want to know anything about me right now, literally, so we're here right now talking about this. This is fun, great to come talk about this. But at 8 p.m. tonight, we're literally going to be having a worship night up in Dunham, and that is my life in a very genuine way. I'm a person who has friends and family and people I care about, but I only have those things because I have a God who loves me so that he gave me this life. And so, I think if I can say anything, all of my life, it all comes down to the basis of trying to relate my faith with whatever I do. And so on the field, Coach Kai has told me many times that, you can be the nicest person off the field, but on the field, you have to be just this bad, mean man, And so I'm still learning how to implement those two things together, but everything, I guess, is how it touches each other. And just trying to, find a way to be an outlet in two things, to be a light in the world where there's so much darkness. And to show people that the light is not me. It's just the light that's inside of me. That is Jesus.
So on these shows, just listen to the first episode, you are opening the floor for another student athlete to speak their mind on things and talk about certain things. Do you also see that as an outlet for yourself, just to have that open relationship with the student athletes here on campus? And how important is that for you to have that connection with them?
I say it's very large because, it's the funny thing that, it's not just that you don't just people don't just walk in the room and boom, you start recording. You have to start talking to people beforehand, and people don't just want to come and tell you all about their life. If you're someone who doesn't want to listen to them, I'm not just there trying to get some content and get things done with. Because what's the point of that? All I did was make a video and it goes where it goes, but that person's not affected. I'm not affected. So I think it's cool to be able to, come on here and make this content. And then afterwards I see you out somewhere. Oh my goodness. Hey, I know you. We're cool. We can catch up, maybe hang out depending on who it is, what it's about. Cause I think that above and beyond, Brevard is community. And I think that's what I really want people to understand. Is that, we may be two athletes sitting down. We don't even play the same sport. How else do I know them? But we still come together because we are a Brevard community. So
just watching the show, I can tell this is a talent and a passion of yours. Looking down the road, this might be a loaded question, but do you see yourself using your platform and your voice to kind of use this down the road after college to speak on stuff you're passionate about?
In the way you just phrase it there in the end is the perfect way to speak about things that are passionate about 100%. Though I've always wanted to do marketing since I was young, and as I've grown up, it's been marketing and public relations that has really caught my eye. But in the last recent years, politics has become something I've been interested in, not in the aspect of right or left or any of that. I could care less about that. It's just the aspect of a place where you have the opportunity to impact people's lives in a very real way. And the legal system just happens to be something where that stuff is directly affected. And so, an opportunity, whether I may run for public office or help somebody run for office, I've just found that, a voice can do a lot. And so I feel like if I have the opportunity to say what I want to say, I'm not going to let somebody else go up there and say something that I don't agree with, because then they're the ones making it affect. And I'm sitting back having to deal with it because I chose to be quiet in whatever manner of life that may be. So I think if you have the opportunity to speak, why not use it? And I think that's what I'm looking to do.
So off camera, shifting to the field aspect on the football team, how do you use your voice, very strong, very powerful voice, to help your teammates and help the people around you throughout this season?
I think that I've really been learning this more now than any time in my life, because for the first time since I've come to college, I've missed the first 2 games with a hamstring injury, which is I've never missed a game since I've been here. Didn't get to travel last week to Sewanee, which is the first time I didn't get to travel, even as a freshman. So I'm like, this is interesting and different. And just in that moment, my voice to my teammates didn't mean any less or any more with me, and my pads are out of it, which really changed a lot to show that they don't just think I'm a guy who can play the game. I'm not just somebody who can come out there and make a play, or there's somebody who they trust in, and I still go there and we do prayer before practice, we do prayer before the games, and when I speak, for some reason I don't know why they seem to give me some respect, and I mean it's been like this since I've gotten here, and I'm just thankful for it because it's not like I did anything for it. But I think that just the basis of being able that when I say something, they understand that I'm not saying it because I'm looking for my interest, but for ours as a team.
How important is that? The last question I'll ask about, the locker room, but how important is that everybody sees everybody equally on an equal playing field when it comes to being a leader and being a part of a team? How great is that to have that group listen to when people speak up?
I think it's absolutely great because realistically, and this really goes back to what the basis of what the Inside Tornado is all about. Somebody can be an excellent player, but they can be absolutely terrible as a person. And if they're not a good person, it means nothing. You want to listen to somebody whose merit is not just in their skill, but in their personality. So if somebody's out here trying to tell you to do something, but they don't do it in their personal life, why would you listen? But when we have players in that locker room who we understand that not only are they good on the field, but they live it out in their life. It's awesome that we can respect one another and listen to one another, because we understand that it's consistent and it influences one another to be consistent on and off the field as well.
All right, Alex, I'll leave it with this. What's the plan for the next episode? Who are you going to talk to, and when can we expect that episode to come out?
So number one, the goal is to talk to cycling. That is who I'll be reaching out to be speaking to them this upcoming Monday, have a conversation with them. Next week is the hopefully we'll be having a new episode at least by the Thursday of next week. Don't know who exactly, but do be looking out for a cycling episode for Inside the Tornado. It will be awesome. I will do my research, and I might come on there with some new knowledge I never knew I had. So.
All right, that is Alex Bolton, wide receiver for the football team and host of Inside the Tornado, a new show where he speaks to student athletes about life and about sports in general. Thank you to Alex for joining the show. We'll pull in a couple of our new guests coming in tonight. It's going to be head coach Juan Mascaro and associate head coach Juan Mascaro Jr., who are joining the show tonight. Guys, how you doing?
Doing wonderful. Thank you.
Great. We also have MK Smoke ready to join us as well, but while I have you all for a moment, another week, another 2 wins, starting with Piedmont. We knew this would be the test so far this year, but you passed it with flying colors. What did you like about your team in that first game?
I think that we brought in the intensity that we needed for that game. I think that the players were really focused on what it takes to win a game like that, which you said it's a big test for us. Piedmont is probably one of the tougher opponents, and it's very similar to some of the conference opponents. So I think they knew what it took to win that game.
So the offensive barrage continues. You're out shooting your opponents 163-15. What's been clicking well in that offensive third to continue creating those quality opportunities?
I think it's a team effort. It's not just the offense. Soccer is a game of flow. So I think it starts from the goalkeeper and the backs, and I think we're playing very good soccer. I think we're applying all the principles that we have gone over, and I think we're just clicking. We're starting to click pretty good. Our midfield is doing a phenomenal job, and giving that support to the forwards, and the forwards are doing a great job. I think we have a great rotation also going on. So all in all, for right now, it's looking pretty good.
That'll bring us to join MK Smoke in here. MK, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I want to talk to you about that defensive third of the field and how incredible that's been so far for you guys on the back end, holding teams to not scoring any goals. You have yet to surrender a goal. How much pride do you take in that 4 games in the season?
We take a lot of pride in that. We have an incredible back line. I think we're also just doing a good job of connecting this year. I mean, we have years in the past as well, but I think this year we're coming out strong, and I think we're going to be able to hold that and have that pride throughout the season as well.
So you're entering your junior year, already in your junior year, but what improvements have you seen in your game from your sophomore to junior season?
I think confidence is a huge thing that has gone up. Coming in, I was not a center back, but I have learned to grow and love the position. So I think that has been another thing to change as well. And just being confident with the team and being able to hold up that back line and being the last couple players on the field and being able to be there if any ball slips through or anything like that.
So for all of you, this game on Saturday against Averett, I wouldn't necessarily call it uncharted territory, but it was a game that was 1-0 most of the way, and it was the final there against Averett. But it was a game in which was a little bit tighter than maybe you guys had been expecting. A lot of quality opportunities, but what were the keys, both offensively and defensively, to secure a win there on Saturday?
We'll let JJ take this one.
No, it was a good game for sure. Even though we only scored 1 goal, I mean, we produced a lot of chances. So I think offensively, it's just having that production and creating opportunities to score is going to be crucial for that game and just really any game moving forward. And then defensively, more towards the middle of the field is kind of winning those 50-50 balls. We call them duels. So winning those duels so that we can recover the ball and then go and attack. I mean, that's going to be really important. And then also, when we're defending, I think our defenders have a lot of discipline. We have one of here sitting with us, and she really does a good job at understanding her role and when to deepen, and so that she can have that time and space to anticipate and prevent their attacks and win the ball back for us, so that we can get going again and build another attack and create another opportunity. So I think overall it was a solid performance. I think a bit frustrating that we didn't score more goals, but you just need one more than the opponent, right? So we got the W, and I think moving forward, if we can keep creating more chances and just keep working hard and being disciplined and just the players just doing their jobs and their roles and doing them well, I think we'll be in good shape.
MK, for you, this team is very returner heavy. You get a lot back from last year's incredible year. For you as a returner, how key is that continuity to have a group you're already familiar with and have that coming into the season?
It's definitely comforting to have that connection that we had last year. And to build off of last year, I think that's going to be a good thing for us. I mean, I know we had a big target on our back last year, and I think a lot of the returners know how big that is for us to come back this season and just go out hard. So I think having those returners and knowing the pressure that's on us right now is huge for us this season.
So Abby Nunez, Defensive Player of the Week in the USA South. She really is quite the weapon. MK, what does that mean to have a keeper like that behind you? And for you two coaches to have her come out and take the free kicks, how much of a weapon is that, and how much of a weapon is she overall?
We'll let MK go first.
Okay. I think it's amazing having her back there. I mean, I know that if I can't get to a ball or one of the other backs can and something happens to get by on accident or just it does, I know she's going to be there and I know she has our backs. I think she's also very confident and is able to support us wherever we are throughout the field, which is very nice to have as a keeper, and just having her back there is amazing.
Yeah, I think that it brings a different dimension to the game. You know, when you have your goalkeeper that can help you, you know, with free kicks and stuff like that. And obviously a great goalkeeper. But you know, Ryan, we're blessed to have a phenomenal crew of goalkeepers. I mean, we have Nico Arroyo, you know, that played the last game. So we have 5 very good goalkeepers. So we're in a great position in that position. So we're pretty blessed to be able to have the amount of goalkeepers and the quality of the goalkeepers that we have.
So I want to comment on the home crowds that have been in attendance so far this season. MK, for you as a player, how infectious is that energy coming from the stands? And it's been really exciting. It's been fun to watch. What's this crowd been like in terms of helping you guys on the field?
Oh, it's been good. I think especially against Piedmont, being able to be louder than their bench, and like it was almost a contest to see who was louder, who was able to be there. I think it definitely brings a presence that like some of the girls haven't been able to understand yet, and having that on the field and on the sidelines is so amazing to hear. Especially, I think it just pushes us through the games that we need pushed through, and the games that we may not need that. It's still so amazing to hear that support and like hear that all the faculty and staff that's able to be at our games and everything like that is really awesome.
So you all are no stranger to this, but it's another quick turnaround here. You have a Saturday, then a Tuesday. For you coaches, what does the next couple of days look like? And MK, what does the lead up to a game day look like when you got a quick turnaround like that?
You know, it's just the way the season works. You know, we just finish a game, we take a day off. Today we get ready for tomorrow. Then tomorrow we win a game. Then we get ready for the next one and just get ready for the next one. Right now it's just not, you know, you're not practicing, you're just getting ready for games is what it is. You're just getting ready. You gotta make sure that we get enough rest, because that's part of training, is getting enough rest, that we don't get overworked, and that we understand what the opponent brings and what the schemes are going to be to help us, you know, beat the next opponent.
So MK, I like asking this question to athletes I haven't talked to before. It's always interesting. It feels like everybody has something different that gets them ready for a game. What does your game day look like? Any music you listen to? Any pregame superstitions you have? Anything along those lines?
I don't think I have any superstitions, but I love food, so definitely making sure I'm not hangry at all, and making sure I get a good night of rest before the game, and just mentally prepare to come out strong. And that's pretty much it.
So last question, you all on the back end, that final line of defense has been really strong this season. What are the keys to continue to provide that back wall of defense as you head throughout a schedule that's only going to get tougher from here?
JJ?
Yeah, you know, like I said, we're really fortunate to have, you know, we have our back line, and we have you know a deep, you know, we have a deep team, a deep squad, so we have players that we can rely on depending on each game, right? So, you know, it's just about, like Senior said, we look at the opponent, we prepare for the opponent, and then we go out there and then we execute the game plan. And so far that's worked for us. So just keep doing what we're doing, putting our head down, staying humble, keep working hard. And, for us on the coaching end is gathering the information and presenting it to the team so that they're prepared to face the opponent and compete as best as they can.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for hopping into a busy segment with all three of you all here tonight, and best of luck this week against Carolina University.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have
Thanks
a good
so
night.
much.
That is head coach Juan Mascaro, associate head coach Juan Mascaro Jr., and junior center back M.K. Smoke. Women's soccer off to a 4-0 start. Really impressive 2-0 week against Piedmont, and then Saturday against Averett. The Tornadoes back in action tomorrow at 5 o'clock against Carolina University. So we did have a pre-recorded segment earlier this afternoon, talked to head coach El Dana after his draw with Center this weekend. First home game for the Tornadoes men's soccer team. We'll take you to that as you'll hear from head coach El Dana ahead of their matchup this week on the road. Another episode of Tornado Talk, joined by men's soccer coach El Dana. El, thanks for joining the show today.
Thanks, Frank. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We're pre-recording this segment, so by the time you hear it, we're recording at about 1:30 p.m. Coach, busy week for you guys. You had a game at home on Saturday against Center. What have you liked about this team so far, maybe despite a slower start?
Yeah, this is nothing new for us. We always play a very hard schedule prior to starting in the conference. And if you look back in years that we won championships, we took some losses early in the year. That's by design. And because we've played such a strong schedule, we know so much more now than we did in preseason, both in terms of formation and where to use best different players. And every game so far, we inch, towards where we need to be, again, by the time we open in the conference.
So I want to talk about defense first. You surrender an early goal on Saturday in the 3rd minute, but after that, you really limited Center and their opportunities at home this weekend. What'd you like about the effort defensively, despite giving up an early goal to keep your team in the contest?
So, coming from the previous game, our energy level to start the game was not where it needed to be. Even from the perspective of formation or which players started, because sometimes it's not that a player is not capable of doing something at a given time of the game, but it's just choosing the right guys, choosing the right chemistry. But like you said, even though we did start with the intensity that we're looking for, it is what it is. You sometimes control all the variants, and the team goes there and puts the first goal in. What I do like is that we did not panic, and we continued with the game plan, even though at some point during the half we switched formation, but that was within what we were planning. And at the end, we made a comeback, and we really should have won the game. So against a very good team that has really faced the same kind of schedule as we have. So funny as it sounds, they have had some losses, but we're all top teams. We're all looking at each other. I mean, some of the people picked to win our conference have losing records. We know how to go about doing the early scheduling.
So shifting to the offensive third of the field here this past weekend, you had some opportunities throughout the game. Couldn't find the back of the net for quite a while, but your team and Roya Bootball found the back of the net in the 80th minute. What does that say about your team's stick-to-itiveness to keep pushing? And despite not being able to find that equalizer until late in the second half, you eventually found it. What'd you like about your team's effort offensively?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. That was one of the things we talked about. Number one, creating more shots, because it's pure mathematics, right? You cannot score when you don't shoot. But number two, creating good opportunities to score, because, you can just take lobs and long distance shots from all over that really will not create goals. But this time we first half did not have as many shots as we did in the second half, which shows that whatever we did at halftime in the locker room yielded results, partly because we switched formations. But again, we're finding more and more about each player, about each what time of the game. This is a chess match, right? So you come up with the right guys at the right time, and then you start moving the pieces on the board. The end goal is to finish the way we did, finish strong, finish with an opportunity to score. Of course, I want to get to the point that we don't need to come from behind, and we don't need to, we can consistently score at will. But quite frankly, when that happens, probably we're not playing the strongest of the opponents. But in our level, whoever comes up with these little things will end up winning the game.
So you previewed it a little bit, and I do want to talk about this last seconds of the match, and it looks like you've won on a header that goes in the back of the net. I wasn't even keeping my eyes on the field because I was watching everybody flood from the sidelines onto the field, but eventually it was said that it was offside, and that goal did not count. Obviously frustrating for your team, a very close play there near the net. How do you address that as a coach in the locker room when maybe morale is a little bit down despite a good result, like you mentioned, against a good team?
Now, one thing that I have noticed with our guys, they are mature enough to see behind the score. I mean, let's pick a loss that we took 4-1. That was an incredibly close match, but because of a couple of breakdowns, they turned into that score. Same is true on a tie that we had, say, against Maryville. We created so many opportunities to score. Really, we could have put 3 or 4 at the end of that game. So we have that sense that we're putting together what it takes. You mentioned a tough call at the end of the game. The guys at first were upset because, without talking about officiating, they felt that that call should have gone their way. But then immediately they shifted the focus to the fact that, we did win the game, even if the score does not show. So little things like that, because they know eventually things will click. And at some point in time, and typically I tell them, one of these days, and it could be this coming Saturday, you never know, things not only are going to go our way, but we're going to put a clean game from beginning to end, and we're going to finish the chances to score, i.e. somebody's going to pay a price. So I hope it's going to be a top team in our conference that we finally break it open. I would welcome a big win to start with against, the top teams in the conference. But we just want to win. That's all.
I want to shift the focus a little bit to your young coaching staff that you've got besides you. Before last time we talked was before really seeing them coach in action, but just watching those two, Esteban and Kyle, on the sideline, especially very vocal, not only in your games but also leading the reserves team. What have you liked out of those young coaches that has helped you as kind of complementary pieces throughout the season?
No, the guys really appreciate their involvement and their, of course, they bring different perspectives and bring a fresh look at things. And but we're very, very happy with them. You could have argued that being young as they are and being their first roundabout in terms of sitting on the sidelines, that they would be shy. They're not whatsoever. And I love that. I welcome that. I welcome their input. They're very strong students of the game, and it's making all of us better, without a doubt.
So looking at your schedule, I noticed a little bit of a trend. You had 2 games within 2 days of each other early on in the season in the Maryville tournament, but since then, your games have kind of been spread out by a week and some change. How does that help you as a coach? That won't continue, obviously, as you go throughout the conference schedule. But here early in non-conference play, you've had time to assess each result and then address what you want to do moving forward. How does that help you as a coach and your team have ample time to prepare for the next matchup?
Yeah, so that was by design because you don't want to get to the conference too banged up, So, but you don't want to also not play tough enough early. So the way we found was to have these back-to-back games at the beginning and then space out a little bit, even though the competition is very high, giving guys a chance to, if there were knocks, get back, and or if there's issues of fitness, get with it. But like you said, that ends, starting the following week. It's Wednesday, Saturday throughout, and then tournament, Friday, Sunday, or something like that. So it's preparing us for that without a doubt, and it's keeping us within a good the margin of the risk that we take, right, is low. So we still have guys coming back from injuries, even from preseason. So we haven't had really the whole team together yet at all. And that's another thing that it's really leaning towards. So I keep saying pretty soon we're going to have it all together, and pretty soon somebody's going to pay a big price.
So you go back on the road this weekend. You've got this week to prepare. What are you hoping to see from your team in terms of taking strides and hopefully securing a big road win this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, because there's so many new guys and young guys, especially guys that have never gone through a spell without wins. We want to grab that first win without a doubt, because typically a lot of kinks will go away because of being uptight, just guys that you can tell that they're not quite assertive, they're a little hesitant because that confidence is not there yet. So the goal is to win now and get those numbers on that side of the board, and then from there they'll realize that it's not necessarily that we're not playing at a good standard. It was just the ball needs to go on the back of the net, as it should. This is a game of goals. But within, 3 games, we better be ready, because here comes the conference, and we're keeping an eye on everybody. And like I said, the top teams in the conference, they're also playing a hard schedule. I mean, the team picked to win and the team picked to be second place, they both have losing records. So that should tell you that we're doing similar things.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for taking some time out of your busy day today to hop on to this pre-recorded segment of Tornado Talk. The Tornadoes head on the road this weekend at Berea on September 20th before returning home for a midweek contest with Covenant on September 24th. Coach, good luck this weekend, and thanks for taking some time.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that's head coach L. Dana. We'll be right back here on. All right, that is head coach L. Dana, the men's soccer team. The Tornadoes head on the road this weekend to take on Berea before a home contest with Covenant on Wednesday. So we'll welcome our next 2 guests for the show. Our final 2 guests, we've got Coach Bill Kyatt and quarterback Ethan Beamish of the football team. Guys, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Fine, thank you. Thanks for having us, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on. So elephant in the room, big comeback win, or big win, bounce back on the road against Sewanee this weekend, taking down the Tigers 26-10. For both of you, what did that week look like ahead of this game to turn the page and prepare for a new opponent?
You got it, Ethan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was big for us, just being able to bounce back from obviously the disappointing loss in the first week. So I think a lot of the coach's message and our message within the locker room was just, focus on what we can control, focus on your job. So we put a lot of emphasis on just getting back to the basics and just being able to execute at the best level that we can.
Yeah, it's difficult, because in the first game, it's really hard to determine everyone's role within an actual game. So the guys kind of knew where they fit when it came to practice and what we were doing in scrimmage settings. But once it really came to game day, what was everyone doing? And we have a lot of new faces to the program, both on the coaching staff and on the roster. So we had to work all those kinks out in that first game, and we addressed all of the issues. We got them handled within the team and within the staff, and everything played out just the way we had hoped on Saturday.
So looking at this game, the rushing game was really a big positive for you all. You rushed for over 200 yards on the ground. Coach, after a week where the running game wasn't all that much of a factor, how good was it to see this effort out of your backs?
Well, what's great to see is a victory. And in college football, you get victories in all sorts of different ways. So for us, what needed to happen in this particular game was we needed to run the ball. So it was wonderful to see some pressure taken off of Ethan. He's always carrying the offense on his shoulders, and we're relying on him to make great reads and wonderful passes and redirect protections to make sure that we don't get hit. I mean, that's a lot on a person's shoulders. And then, of course, with new players out there, then we're breaking the huddle, and guys are like, oh, what do I have? What do I do? What was the snap count? And they're asking him all kinds of questions, and he can't even do his own job. So to be able to take all of that pressure off of him, where he just has to be able to call the play in the huddle, take a look down the field, see what's happening, call the cadence, get the snap, and hand the ball off. Boy, that will carry us a long way as we get into conference play. So we had an incredible stretch of backs that we could just keep changing out. We got 3 different styles of runners that went in there, and that didn't even include the 4th, which was a backup quarterback. So, it was great to see those guys really perform. I mean, that was almost 35 minutes, I believe, of possession time with the ball. As you mentioned, 46 attempts. And, we never turned the ball over. So when you have those kind of numbers, you have a pretty good shot of winning the game.
Yeah, Ethan, I want to piggyback off that. When people look at Brevard football, especially this year, you're the focal point or one of the focal points of the prep. To have the running game clicking like that for you on the field, how much pressure does that take off you as a quarterback to know that your running backs are going to get the job done to try and open up the pass?
Yeah, I think it's nice, like he said, there are times when we do have to throw the ball, and it's nice to also see our offensive line, who's somewhat of a younger group and they're new to playing with each other, kind of get everything going. And like he was saying, just having all those different backs who were able to kind of go in and do what they did on Saturday for us, it was good to see. And I know that they enjoyed it, and I enjoyed, like you said, just being able to get in the huddle, call the play, and watch them do what they do best.
So for you in the passing game, and Coach, you can speak on this as well. 5 different receivers record a catch. What is it like to have a deep group that you can trust to make plays on a consistent basis?
Yeah, it also helps where teams can't necessarily focus on one guy. Like you said, we are deep, and being able to go anywhere on the field with the ball and not just focusing on one guy or not focusing on 2 guys, it helps. And having those guys know what they're doing, and also I know what they're doing, they know what I'm expecting, I know what they're expecting, just kind of having that chemistry. I think that goes a long way to where, if it is a 3rd down and we have to get it, we're not really too worried about that. We're just able to go out there and play ball.
Yeah, no, the way we have things set up is, the ball is distributed where coverage dictates. So the defense will tell Ethan where to throw the ball. I mean, they can't cover all the different zones that are there. Obviously, it would have to go to man then to cover up all the different men. But Ethan reads a defense, and then where the people aren't and our players are is where he will throw the ball most of the time, Ethan. But for the most part, that's how we go about doing it. But every now and then there's a thing that is referred to in football called player over play. So every now and then you have a go-to guy. It's a clutch situation. I know really the read's probably over here, but I like the matchup. I'm feeling this one. And you make that throw to those particular individuals in those situations. But that's how it's set up. And that's why the ball gets spread around so much, because we move a lot of people around. We put them in different positions. We wouldn't really necessarily say, oh, we have a strong side receiver. We have a weak side receiver. We have a slot receiver. We mix it all up. For various reasons, but it all works out in the long run for us.
So flipping to the defensive side of the ball, Sewanee never really got a rhythm in that game. You all forced 5 punts, 2 fumbles, and a safety. What was the defensive effort like to kind of complement the offense on that day?
Well, what we knew going in was they had an incredible rushing attack, and they in turn rushed for 40 attempts on their own. And so we knew that, and we also knew that the quarterback was going to have a heavy hand in that running game, and those were designed quarterback runs. So it was really important for us to have what are called run fits. So we had to keep the integrity of the run fits. And what that means is that there are gaps between each player, from the center to the guard, from the guard to the tackle, from the tackle to tight end. And if you don't account for each and every one of those gaps, then the holes for the running back or the quarterback to run through will get larger and larger and larger. And the bigger that is, then the more difficult it is for the next player, who's now got more space to try to defend the man running the ball. So that was the focus for the week, is to make sure that we were sound in all of that. So it allowed the running back nowhere to go, or very limited options, or if there was something there, it was so slim, they really couldn't muscle their way through that. So that was focal point one, and we did a fabulous job overall. Did we make some mistakes? Sure, but it wasn't often, and when it wasn't dramatic. And then, that there was another component to their run game where they were able to bring in extra linemen and some tight ends. So it was a really big personnel. And that's difficult on the Division III level, to have that many players at that size to be able to go out on the field at once. So difficult then in turn to match that with your personnel and be able to stop it. And with the personnel we put in and the packages the defensive staff ran, once again, we were able to shut that down. And in fact, they were in that personnel when we got the safety against them, when the ball was pinned on the 1 yard line after a beautiful punt from Sammy Vargas.
So Ethan, for you, almost 66% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns. Most importantly, no turnovers. How key is it? They will happen. Turnovers will happen. But how key is it to try and play as turnover-free as possible?
Yeah, I know going into the first week, me and Coach Kyatt were on the phone, and we were just talking about, finding the check down and being better about taking care of the ball this year. In the past, I will sometimes get a little loose with it, but that's kind of been my focus this year, is taking better care of the ball, finding our backs, because we know that they're explosive. We saw what they did on Saturday, so kind of getting those guys the ball out in space a little more, not necessarily forcing it downfield was a big part of my offseason and things that I was focusing on trying to get better at.
So I want to talk about your relationship with Zach Dysert for a minute, the quarterback's coach. Really successful college career, and he had some time in the pros as well. What are some things that he's taught you in your time with him, and what do you continue to hope to learn from him?
Yeah, Coach Dysert is awesome. He, I know that we have a pretty good relationship, especially when it comes to figuring out what we like for each week. Just being able to talk through different things and get a different perspective on it, and kind of what he's thinking on a certain play, or what I'm thinking, and how we can kind of mesh the two. I think that we've been very good at that. And kind of just finding a good common ground of how we can think about it and talk about it with each other. He's obviously played at the highest of levels, and Coach Kite has as well. So just being able to be around those guys and pick their brains a little bit has been probably the most beneficial thing that I've gotten from both of those guys.
So as one of the more experienced players on this roster, talk about your role as a leader and what it takes to lead this group week in and week out, and build some success early in this 2025 season.
Yeah, like we've said a couple times now, we have a lot of new faces in the program, and certainly a lot of younger guys, a lot of transfer guys. So I think our biggest thing is meshing guys to the culture and getting them to be on board with what we do and how we do it. So kind of just, laying that out for them, and kind of having a team expectation for all of our guys, not letting anybody kind of be above that or bend the rules a little bit, but making sure that everybody's on the same page when it comes to whether we're taking our cleats off before we go in the locker room, or we're being early to things and we're not being late and we're not missing, just things like that. So just kind of reiterating what the coaches are saying to these guys and making sure that they know it's important, and that, we gotta be true to it.
So Coach gave us this bit of information in our first production meeting before the Kentucky Christian game, but you had some company this summer on the campus of Brevard. Adam Douglas and Shywan Grant stayed back here as well. You guys got some training in. What was it like to continue to build that connection with Adam and with Shywan, who's one of the newer players on this roster?
Yeah, it was good. We had a couple other guys as well, but like you said, those two were the receivers that were up here all summer, and obviously Adam Douglas has been here the last few years with me as well. So it was good to kind of see him take the leaps in that leadership role as well, kind of mentoring Shy all summer. And passing on the knowledge if you want to. But he did a great job, and it was good to see Shai be able to get stronger, get a little faster, get more confident in the playbook, because it is a little tough learning it for the first time like that necessarily. But he no, it was great. I think that both those guys are going to have big seasons for us. Dougie came off; he's starting strong, and then I think Shai will come along as well.
So for both of you, really, what are some major improvements that you saw week over week coming into this week at Sewanee to kind of take the reins, take control of that game, and not give it up?
I think the biggest thing for us was where the focus was for each individual player. So in week 1, there was a huge issue that I saw where guys were watching other people make errors, not do the right thing, and they were too busy trying to tell these other guys what they needed to be doing, how they needed to be doing it, when they themselves were making their own errors. So that was one of the focal points in the first meeting we had during the week, was for everyone just to take care of what their responsibility was. So the coaches create the playbook, but it's the players that are the ones that execute that on game day. And we just needed each player to say, okay, what is it is being asked from me in this situation? It could be something as simple as step to the left, step to the right. Or it could be something more difficult, like, hey, cover this guy all over the field, no matter where he goes, and anywhere in between. So that's what we wanted to start with, was yourself. And then once you have all of that handled, now you can start reaching out to other players and helping them achieve their goals on their particular plays, but all with encouragement. So we wanted everything to be a more positive setting, more encouraging, rather than more from a standpoint of frustration or disappointment. And you could just tell from the sideline. And I mean, I have a headset on, and it's hard to hear, but I can just feel all that from behind, all of that energy. And it translated onto the field with a win.
So I was stat watching this weekend, didn't get to watch the game, but Colson Sigler, touchdown on a touchdown run. Don't want to show your hand at all here, but what was that like to see? And is that something we could potentially expect to see moving forward in some short yardage situations?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily really short yardage. It's just a mixer. So, everybody has their things that they like to do to change up, and a team has an identity. I think everybody knows what ours is at this juncture, but you also always want to have some things that just change it up a little bit. And it doesn't mean that is going to be the change up for the entire year, but it means that was the change up for that game. And then the next game, it might be something different. You'll say, oh, wow, where did this come from? Now, is that going to be a theme? No, that's not going to be a theme. It's going to be something else. So that does not mean that those packages won't resurface. They certainly will at some point when it's appropriate for the opponent. But that was great to see Cole get in there. I mean, he has really gained confidence during his time this fall. He's been performing, so we thought he was the right man for the job, and it certainly did pay off once we got down there to the goal line. And, of course, we actually used him on another play on a 3rd and longer situation where we wanted to take some heat off of Ethan, and, not just another extra shot on a 3rd and long, so we did some change-up things there. And, got some yardage and a little better space to punt, and it turned out well for us because Sammy was having a hell of a day punting that football. I saw a long of 60 and a high average well into the mid-40s, so that's spectacular for him, and congratulations to him on his performance.
Last question I have for you. When you get back to campus, it's always a quick turnaround before you get ready for the season. We're a couple weeks in now, so this has probably changed a little bit, but what's your process of getting to know maybe some newer teammates that you haven't played with before and try to get acclimated when you have a short turnaround time coming in the season?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about, Brevard and these small colleges is that it is so small, so whether you are an exercise science major or you're a business major, you are going to have class with your teammates. So I think being able to, see those guys around campus, and obviously you have fall camp that week and a half, whatever it is, you're spending all day with them. So I think you definitely develop those relationships with those guys as the season goes on, but being able to see them around campus, eat lunch with them at the CAF, or walk with them to class, whatever it is, you're always seeing them around campus. You're always at practice with them. You're always you're always around them, you know. And so that's one of the best parts about being at these small schools.
So, Ethan, you can chime in on this one as well if you'd like. But, Coach, I'm looking forward to talking to Terrence Gant about his team's performance yesterday. Although didn't win the game, there was a lot, I think, positives to take from that. What'd you like out of that group and seeing some new guys contribute?
Well, first thing is the discipline. And I think that that's what Coach Gant brings to the team, especially for an entire cluster of freshmen. So remember, Greensboro played a true JV roster, if you will. So there were freshmen, there were sophomores, there were juniors out there. Our futures program is made up solely of freshmen. So to have all basically 18-year-olds out there, and 100 of them, and to have them all doing the right thing, there really wasn't sloppy play. Think about it, that was their first game and their first college game. So to not see just sloppy, choppy, nasty play, and to see guys working hard and giving the effort, I mean, you could see the identity that Coach Gant wanted to create for that futures roster, and it played out on the field. And you know, what a great experience it is for those guys on a much more level playing field when you get to go against a Division III opponent, regardless of the fact that they did have some sophomores and juniors out there. All in all, it was a great time. And of course, everybody wants to win. I mean, it was always disappointing when you work so hard to achieve victory and you fall short of that. But you have to look at what came out of that, and the experience is second to none. I mean, you can't put a price on experience because that will pay off in the long run for these kids during their career here at Brevard College.
Ethan, I did come up with one more question for you, and this is kind of a fun one I like asking. First time I'm talking to athletes, I like asking this question. What does your pregame routine look like? When you're coming into a contest, do you have any pregame superstitions, any type of music you listen to get you going on game day?
Yeah, I got to listen to like calm music. I can't get all jacked up. I know the guys like to blare the music and dance around. I can't do all that. I get too excited. So I got to keep myself pretty mellow. So I'll go out on the field before the game, usually listen to some old country, usually something to just kind of lower my blood pressure a little bit, and then get back in the locker room, get changed, and then I usually just sit outside and let those guys get all juiced up.
That's great. So for both of you, what's this week of prep going to look like ahead of welcoming in a Division II opponent to Isla Family Field at 4:00 on Saturday?
Well, the main thing is not get hung up on labels. So, you know, I mean, everybody keeps saying, oh, we got a Division II opponent. We got a Division. I don't care that we have a Division II opponent. We have an opponent. All right. And our opponent is the same one that we had last week, which is Brevard College. And if we can continue to do our things correctly, we will always have a chance at victory. So, sure, you have to evaluate the opponent to see what type of schemes they run on offense, what type of schemes they run on defense, what kind of schemes they run in special teams. Sure. So there is some focus there, and you have to know who those players are that are out there. But again, if we do the things correctly, then it matters not who's on the other side of the field. If all of the focus is on a certain individual on the opposing team or a certain scheme, then all of a sudden we lose sight of what it is that we need to do. Then we make mistakes, and it wasn't really anything special that was happening with the other team. It was our own errors that allowed the opponent to look great. So that's really where the focus is for me. I don't need anybody's heart rate to go up or to be stressed out. And, oh my gosh, we're playing a Division II team. It's not about that at all. It's about us playing great football. And if we play great football, good things will happen, and that scoreboard could fall in our favor when all is said and done.
All right. Well, thank you to both of you for joining tonight as the Tornadoes get ready to take on Erskine at 4:00 on Saturday. It's the blackout game. Come on out and support. Guys, thank you again for taking some time tonight to join me.
Thanks for having us.
I appreciate you having us on, Ryan.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Thanks, you too.
All right, that about brings us to the end of our show. I want to remind you of some events going on around Brevard this week. Women's soccer again tomorrow against Carolina University at 5 p.m. Cross country hosts the second annual Brevard Cross Country Classic Friday at 4 p.m. at the BC Cross Country course on the Brevard Airstrip. Women's soccer versus Meredith On Friday at 7 p.m., men's tennis against Mars Hill. On Saturday at 10 a.m., first men's tennis event of the year. Come on out to check that out before football takes on Erskine at 4 o'clock. It's going to be a ton of fun this week as the Tornadoes go heavy into action this week. Had a great week last week. We'll have another one coming up this week as well. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. This is another episode of Tornado Talk. We'll have it every Monday, same time, same place on the YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can also catch all of our broadcast athletic events there. Next stream we'll have is coming up tomorrow at 5 o'clock as the women's soccer team takes on Carolina University. Signing off here tonight. Thanks for joining another episode of Tornado Talk. I'll talk to you next week.